concept in the golf swing. As the golfer gets older, there's some physical restrictions and limitations of what people can or can't do regarding their golf swing. And John has written a thesis and a new way to look at the golf swing and really the best way to enjoy your golf game as we go through the aging process. But John, before we get into that, how long have you been playing golf, John?
I've been playing golf for 41 years.
And when did you decide you want to be a golf professional?
I decided when I was basically still an adolescent. I wanted to play on tour and then just kind of progressed from there.
And did you try to get on the tour?
No, I never did. I made an attempt to start practicing, but just never coordinated the steps to do so.
Well, the tour's loss is our gain.
Well, thank you.
But I can stand here talking a lot about John, but I think really what we need to learn today is, John, tell us about this new concept that you have for the golf swing.
Well, it's the open stance, and it's not new per se. It's been around for generations. Some of the best ball strikers, or the best ball strikers of all time, have employed the open stance, whether it be Lee Trevino or Ben Hogan. You'll see in his 5 lessons he had a progressively opening stance. Jack Nicklaus, Fred Couples, who is considered a great ball striker, and on and on. What it does for the individual is, no matter how strong or flexible a person is, it allows a person to generate clubhead speed and coordinated movement in a way that that benefits their physical well-being. And it benefits the physical well-being because when you set up open to a golf ball, you have to make adjustments in your ball position and your swing to accommodate this new kind of philosophy that you've employed. One of those things is flattening your golf swing. And when you flatten your golf swing, the club, your hands stay underneath your shoulder. And anytime your hands are under the shoulder, there's no impingement of the joints. If the club swings up, then there's an impingement of the leading hinge, and on the way through, there's an impingement of the trailing hinge. So it basically alleviates those stresses on the shoulder joints. That's to say nothing of the stresses that it alleviates on the forward knees. When you set up square, you have to rotate yourself open on this forward leg in order to square the club face through impact.
So what you're saying, John, is that when the typical golf professional meets with a beginning golfer when they're learning how to play the game, they're teaching the square stance.
They do. That's the standard. That's the golfing machine standard. It was a book written in the 60s. And it makes assumptions that aren't talked about. And those assumptions have to do, first of all, with equipment, which this 7-iron is this length now, but in the 60s, it was this long. So that basically puts people over the golf ball more, which necessitates certain adjustments too. One of those assumptions is a forward ball position, and the bottom of the swing has migrated backward with this open stance. So there are adjustments in equipment and physiological changes that kind of speak to why the paradigm is shifting.
So with the longer club and less flexibility for golfers, changing the stance allows them to have a full swing without having any dramatic impact, or actually reducing the impact it has on the physical well-being.
I couldn't have said it better myself. That's exactly right.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So just to, this is good for any golfer. I have golfers with disabilities, and I have golfers with strength issues and flexibility issues, and I've seen remarkable results for every student that I have who employs this and employs it in an earnest way. Now, the downside of this philosophy is it takes time, because I don't think of it as a fix. I think of it as a cure. And the students that have stuck with this for 1-2 years, they're cured. And it doesn't take repetitive lessons. You can teach yourself. It just takes longer. So if you want to shorten that time horizon, you're going to have to come see me periodically. Now, all I do is keep you on track and guide you, but when you set up this way, we know how to adapt as human beings, and that's something we're not given credit for enough in the learning crucible. So we have to trust ourselves to be athletic. We all are. We know how to adjust and adapt to anything that we're presented with. So the relationship between ourselves and the golf ball and the target has to be the one thing that's inviolate. It's the one thing that doesn't change, and then around that we fashion our golf swing. So I just want to show geometrically what's going on with the open stance.
Please do.
This is the this is the standard, the prevailing ideology in golf, which is to have, let's say the ball position's in the middle of the stance, and the feet are the same distance on a parallel line to our target line. This would represent our target line. This is our line of our stance. So you address your golf ball this way, and you hit the golf ball this way and rotate the club closed, okay? So there's excess rotation on the forward joints. Those stress the joints. I point to Tiger Woods as an example of what excessive rotation can do to your knees.
Sure.
Okay? So with an open stance, this geometry changes. So I'm going to take this one away, and I'm going to set my feet to hit the golf ball with an open stance. My feet are now the same distance from this oblique angle.
Do you change the where you place the ball?
Yeah, it's still in the middle of my stance along the target line, but along the line of my feet, it's now back here. It's now nearer my back foot.
The ball is back towards the inside heel.
A necessary adjustment to adapt to an open stance.
Okay.
So now, in order to hit my golf ball down this line, I square my club face to the target, and I make my golf swing this way. So you now are in a position to delay the club's closing with your movements and with all these structures that you naturally create, not the least of which is the elbow. As Hogan said, the elbow on the inside of the hip, that comes naturally. It must, in order to keep the club from closing and hitting the ball to the left along the line of your feet. So now you have a reason to get ahead of the golf ball and delay the club's closing in order to hit the golf ball. And the benefit is you lead with your hands through impact, because the natural bottom of your swing, which is the bottom of the swing of the human being, is now ahead of the golf ball. So you lead with your hands every time, regardless. So if I were to give an example of that, which I will, if I set up open, let's say, and my ball position's the same, and I cast the club, which means I'm letting the club pass my hands, okay? It's past my hands along the target line, but along the line of my feet, I'm still leading the club by about 6 inches. So my hands are still leading along my body line. And that's the important line. For 40 years, we've emphasized the target line in teaching golf instead of the body. And the body is that around which we swing. So that's the important thing. So that is basically the hard and fast way to do it. Now, there are nuances and movements that have to be cultivated to speed the learning process, but that's the broad stroke.
If someone wants to come out here and practice, they need to put the rods down. And why don't you just show us how to set it up for the golfer after they take a lesson from you to come out and work on the game and their swing by themselves?
Sure. I would put the target line on that side of the golf ball, on the outside of the golf ball, and I would line it up so this is not pointed directly at the target, but slightly to the right of the target for a right-handed golfer. For a left-handed golfer, it would go on this side, and it would point slightly to the left of the target. And then this line can be at any angle, but since it's guiding your feet, I like to draw it back to where the feet are so that you can get an easier gauge of how close your stance is to what you're looking for.
It's a frame of reference to keep that stance open.
Yeah, but you want your toes the same distance from this line.
Okay.
And they shouldn't be skewed to the right or to the left. They should just be as if you're standing facing slightly ahead of the golf ball. And then from there, you just make your swing at your target.
Well, that seemed pretty easy, John.
It can be. It can
But
be.
somehow that ball went about 40 yards further than the practice swing a little while ago. There must be another secret to this game.
Stick with it. You'll get there.
I would hope so.